Hi, it's Tony here at Pop's Workshop, and we're outside the workshop in the garage because I have run out of lumber storage in the garage. So I have got a couple of these from a friend. There's 4 of these standards. They're heavy duty with heavy duty shelf brackets. So I've got this more than 8-foot span here on this wall. So we're going to throw a couple of these up. I'm not going to go one in the center. I'll go one off center each direction so that we can store some shorter stuff down here and down there and still have room for the longer stuff. So hopefully this is going to solve a lot of the clutter we've got going on in the shop, but we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this on a time lapse so that you can watch quickly how long it takes me to get these things up, and then we'll come back and discuss my thoughts about loading her up. All right, that's finished. We have our lumber rack up in here. Some of the eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed that, yes, I did in fact put the standards on upside down to begin with. The tab should have been at the bottom because they're modular. So if I needed to move this up and add another standard underneath, I could do that. But so I off camera did that, but I wanted you to know, full disclosure, I messed up when I went to put the standards in. Hey, this is not going to work. So yeah, fixed. It's fixed. One of the other problems that we ran into is this little guy here. That was one of the lags. I broke a couple. They've been in and out on another individual's walls in his garage. This was a gift from a friend, and so these were utilized, and as you know, you run these in and out a couple of times, they might break on you. So those are broken. I replaced them with some screws, some construction screws right now. They're not the structural construction screws. Shear strength is important. That's why we use lags, because that weight could just shear off a normal screw, and then it falls off the wall and it hits Nana's car and I'm in trouble. So we don't want that to happen. So we want the lumber I put on the wall to stay on the wall. So we're going to replace those fasteners with the proper fasteners. Think of the others as placeholders for right now, just so I know I've got to do that. But otherwise they're up. I've got 3 good shelves. The top one, as you can see, can go above the doorway over here. It can go into the window a little bit over there. So I can store some fairly long boards in here now, which is going to be great. Also, as I mentioned before, I came off center 1 stud bay. So instead of going at 4 feet, I came over 1 each direction, which now means 32-inch boards can be stored here or on the other end. So my shorter stock that you always have to like put a longer board and put it on top of, and then you need the longer board and you got to dig everything. I didn't want to go through that. I just didn't want to have that hassle. So now I've got a place for my shorter lumber, which is perfect. And I'm keeping it lower because that's sometimes what we use most of, that short stuff. So ease of accessibility, that's important. Now we've got lumber storage in the garage, which is important because the shop has got a lot of lumber. I've been fortunate enough to find a lot of free lumber. Guys have been getting out of the business or getting out of the hobby, and they've said, hey, we know you like doing this. You want some? Absolutely. Never say no to free lumber, but make sure you've got the lumber storage to back that up. I did not. So do as I say, not as I do. You know what I mean? So now we've got a place to take it out of my smallish shop. Okay, it's not small by some guys' standards, but I'm running out of room in there, folks. My next project's going to be behind you on the trusses. I'm going to build some framework to carry sheet goods, full sheets, half sheets, quarter sheets, get them up off the floor in there and out of my way, because there's other things I want to put in the shop. And right now I'm inundated with lumber and lumber scraps. So I've got to fix that. This is step 1. That's step 2. And then I should be in a good shape for the winter season to be able to work in the shop and have access to what I need. Another big shout out to Tufbit. Tufbit was great because it would allow me to even throw the lags on here. If you don't have a Tufbit for your drill, I'll put a link in the description so you can go find one. I highly recommend it. You can just throw screws on there and you don't have to then put them in your pocket or up and down the ladder because you forgot a screw. They're all right there, even big lags, no problem. So thanks, Tufbit. That's a great product. Grab one if you want. Thanks again for watching the video. I don't take for granted that you spent time to watch me ramble and do weird things in the shop. So thank you very much for that. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. And as always, be safe in the shop, and remember, you can do this.